Coming up, the 9-vehicle pileup.
Yeah, see it. Oh my word.
Caused by an abandoned car.
And they've been pushing that red one down A1 backwards, and they've run away, they've done a runner.
The Scottish shoplifter.
Stay there.
What the hell's going on?
Feeling the sharp end of the law.
Strong smell of cannabis coming from you, and you match the description of somebody who's had been armed with a knife today.
And it's not rocket science.
You have to calculate everything. Massive operation, which takes months of planning.
For this team transporting tons of fireworks.
I would say over the next couple of days entertain 500,000 people.
At almost 400 miles long, the Great North Road weaves through 18 counties and more than a dozen of Britain's major towns and cities. With over 2,000 accidents on the A1 every year, Highways England traffic officers have to be ready for any situation. And in Yorkshire, this busy patch of the road close to Ferrybridge sees a high volume of crashes. CCTV footage reveals a car stranded in the fast lane of the northbound carriageway, with other road users panicking as they swerve to avoid it. But as traffic builds, the awful moment when 8 cars crash into the stationary car is clear to see. Highways England traffic officer Rob Larkin is in a hurry to help.
1-3, we've just spotted an RTC, junction 41, Homefield. There's a car in lane 3, pedestrians out. We're going to turn at Darlington and go back to it, over.
Rob needs to get there as fast as possible, but he's heading in the wrong direction, so he needs to use some insider knowledge. The A1 has a secret network of side roads and bridges, accessible only to the emergency services. This cut-through allows Rob to drive right over the A1 and drop down onto the opposite carriageway.
Obviously, my first concern is the pedestrians wandering around in the traffic. So what I'm going to do is put on a rolling roadblock.
Rob quickly has the traffic behind him under control. And within seconds, he spots the accident ahead.
We've got 2 red X's. We've now got traffic coming to a stand. So there's obviously a lot of vehicles involved. I think it's here. Yeah, see it. Oh my word.
The multiple pileup has left passengers trapped in the carriageway, and Rob is the first officer to arrive.
If there's any injuries, we'll get paramedics, and then I've got to secure the scene. Do we know if there's anyone hurt?
I don't think so.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 vehicles and an LGV over. Is there any injuries? No? Okay. I'm gonna go back and secure this scene, so we've got all traffic going that way, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay.
It's a tangle of twisted metal, with 8 cars strewn across the road. With light fading fast and members of the public risking their lives to help direct traffic round the crash, Rob has to take control.
If I was you, best thing you can do for me, mate, is stop with vehicles for the time being, because I've got some more resources on way. I've got to get this out so we can protect the scene.
As Rob guides the traffic round the smash, shocked drivers are trying to come to terms with what just happened.
I was driving along here, we were overtaking, and all of a sudden lots of cars were going different directions, and I just slammed on brakes, tried to swerve from the car in front of me, and then ended up in this.
Sean Slater was also caught up in the crash and is under no doubt the driver of the red Alfa Romeo was to blame.
And they've been pushing that red one down A1 backwards, and they've run away, they've done a runner. So some lads have gone to try and catch them, like. Because they've caused all this problem, you know, so. They've took off across the 62. I couldn't catch them.
Lorry drivers Kevin and Ken, who saw the crash happen in front of them, pulled over and gave chase.
I see the alpha male and a female partner jump out the car, just ran off into the field. Me and my colleague tried to stop them, run across the other side of the motorway, and that was the last of it.
With the mystery of the missing drivers to solve and 8 crumpled wrecks to clear off the A1 in rush hour, Rob needs backup, and fast. Over 200 miles north across the border, police are on a crackdown. A decade ago, Scotland had a huge problem with knife crime and knife-related deaths. The issue became a priority, and along with an increase in prison sentences, the number of knife murders has halved. For A1 traffic cops PC Pete Marshall and PC Alan Meikle, if there's a hint of a weapon on a call-out, they can't take any chances.
Scotland had quite an issue with knife crime. It was almost at one point the sort of go-to weapon to be using. We had kids bringing knives into schools and all sorts. So up here there was a change, if you like, to how we dealt with knife crime. It was almost going to be a zero tolerance. When we get calls that involve knives, there's always this sort of escalation, so you're going to get the specialist resources out, and it's seen as quite a serious offence up here now, carrying a knife and certainly then presenting it or using it against somebody.
Today, they've just received an emergency call to join a pursuit close to the A1. A number of teams have been deployed to find a shoplifter who has made off from a local retail park. It's understood the shoplifter is armed.
Yeah, go in. Get on the left.
165, there's a driver there, yellow car. White male, mid-20s, dark clothing up the top, and yeah, it's red baseball cap.
And within minutes, they hit the jackpot.
Red cap. Yeah. Stay there. Right, keep your hands where I can see them. Keep your hands where I can see them. Hands up.
What the hell's going on?
Drop the keys. Drop the keys. You match the description of somebody who had been armed with a knife today. Have you got anything sharp on you?
Mate, no man, no trainers, please. I've not got nothing, I swear.
I'm going to search you for weapons. Have you got anything sharp on you?
I swear on my kid's life, no.
The suspect is restrained, allowing officers to search the car.
Mate, I've not got nothing. This is unreal.
You better believe it.
That's just as real as it gets, mate.
Mate, please take your hand off my foot.
No. It's the attention you've got, mate.
Wow. This is mental.
Right. Set of brand new trainers, socks, Sports Direct. So we're currently searching the vehicle for any weapons. He's been detained for the search. There's quite a lot of police presence. Anything with a blade we take quite seriously. Oh, why would you buy 2 of the same pairs of trainers, you think? Aye, that's badge for stuff with tags. So another pair of trainers, bit of makeup.
After searching the car, the officers are unable to find a knife. But there is evidence to suggest shoplifting.
We've not found any weapons at the moment. There is items that have been bought, a lot of items still with tags in it. There is no receipts for these items, so we're just going to figure out exactly what shops. It's quite a varied selection of clothes and makeup and perfume, so they could have been in more than one shop today.
And it seems there may also be charges relating to the vehicle.
There's no insurance for that car for you to be driving it either. No, so you're not insured to drive that car. Right. The car's been checked out and it's come back with a female on the insurance only, and obviously this chap isn't female, so it looks like he's driving no insurance, so we'll seize the car under section 165 of the Road Traffic Act as well.
With potential charges of shoplifting and driving without insurance, the motorist is taken away for questioning. Despite the officers not finding a knife, these cases are taken very seriously, meaning today's response was a necessary one.
In this particular instance, we've had the initial report come through that the chap has been shoplifting. He's presented a knife to security during this whole incident. So obviously for us, the threat level increases drastically because the information we had was the knife had been presented, and our response to that escalates. We'd rather go in with everything we need than turn up and not have the resources that we need.
Back in West Yorkshire, traffic officer Rob Larkin is in desperate need of backup. He's dealing with a massive 9-vehicle pile-up, all on his own.
1, 2 and 3 closure out. It's past the scene now, over.
First reports from witnesses suggested no one had been injured. But now Rob's discovered some passengers do need urgent medical help.
Is this the lady with the chest pains? Yes, it is. Right, yes. I've got ambulance on the way, so they'll come and attend to you as soon as possible. You've got a good lump on your head there, oh my word.
So I've just talked to him just to keep him calm.
Okay, yeah, ambulance are on the way anyhow. All right.
Another lady is trapped in the multiple collision.
You all right in there? Yeah, okay. Right, I'll get you an ambulance as well then. Okay, don't panic. 1-3 have established you've got 2 injuries, both chest pains, 2 females. One approximately 45 to 50 years old, conscious and breathing. The other one possibly 50 years old, conscious and breathing, over.
Thankfully, the paramedics and fire service are on scene.
A lady in the passenger seat and the Audi over there, a lady in the passenger seat, chest pains as well.
Right, okay then.
The fire crew immediately set about prizing the damaged cars apart.
6 inch. 6 inch. Right.
Paramedics can now work out who needs to go to hospital.
I'd probably suggest we take this gentleman in because he's on a blood thinner at the moment.
Right.
The lump coming up on his forehead.
Yeah.
As medics prepare to move the injured, Rob and his colleague Phil start to plan ahead.
They can come straight out of theirs and then straight up and through here.
With miles of tailbacks, they've got to get a fleet of recovery trucks to the scene.
That cut through there, that comes straight back up onto here, doesn't it?
So Rob needs to use his local knowledge again.
1-3, just been talking with my colleague regarding these stat removal operators. They can go up the access road over the top of the A1 and use the cut through to get to scene.
Remarkably, after such a serious pile-up, there are only a few minor injuries.
When it comes to us like 8-car RTC, you kind of think it's something from training school scenario, really. So it's nice when people just get out and just carry on with daily lives, really.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Looking at the amount of vehicles involved in it and the damage to the vehicles, we're looking at there's only been the 2 injuries. It could have been a lot worse. It literally has been a little miracle that nobody's been seriously hurt.
With Rob holding up the traffic,
the wagon spotted us.
The injured can safely leave the scene. but with cars still strewn across the carriageway. He's got a massive task to get the road fully open again. On the dual carriageway of the A1, traffic travels up to 70 miles per hour. With cars and lorries moving at such high speeds, any breakdown is risky. But when vehicles can't move onto the hard shoulder, the dangers increase dramatically. It's no surprise, therefore, that these live lane breakdowns are treated as high-priority emergencies by the A1 traffic cops. In the northeast, PC Darren Lant is en route to a stricken car blocking the inside lane.
I've been asked to attend to what's coming as a live lane breakdown. That's when a vehicle's broken down, quite simply in a live lane. So it's posing a risk to the occupants of the car and to their road users, just north of Seaton Burn. You know, we want to get there as quickly and safe as we can. We've got to get them shifted and get the road open as soon as possible and reduce the risk of any sort of collisions that happen.
First reports suggest the inside tyre has blown.
I'll just let you know, yeah, passenger side tyres completely shredded with no rubber. I think she was in the process of trying to get recovery.
Luckily, one of Darren's colleagues from the police dog unit was passing the scene and is using his van to protect the car.
Tyres completely shredded, but there's no rubber left.
There's no rubber on it at all, isn't it?
No. She was trying to get ring up for some recovery, but it's expired apparently, so she's trying to get to the now.
With fast-moving traffic forced to move to the outside lane to avoid a collision, Darren's priority is to warn oncoming drivers.
In my box of tricks here, I have some flat line delineators, cones to you and I. A little bit of a safer working environment.
But today, he's in an unmarked car, which is posing a bigger challenge.
Slightly unfortunate we're using the unmarked car, and the idea is that it's not seen. So we've got all the lights going on, it's lit up like a Christmas tree, and we've got cones out to make sure that people get as much advance warning as they can. And it seems to be doing the job.
Being stuck in a live lane is a frightening experience for anyone.
Hello. Hello. Where are we going?
But this driver, Eileen Dayton, has her young granddaughter with her too.
Well, I was just driving down and I felt the car shaking a little bit and I had tighter hold of the wheel. I could feel the metal, I heard the metal, and the wheel just came off in front of me, rolling away. I couldn't believe it. So I quickly just got into the side. That was rather terrifying, tearful. Yeah.
There's nowhere good to come to stop in a live carriageway, is there? It's really dangerous. But it maybe is even more so traumatic because there's a little girl in the car, just a toddler and a grandma. Grandma's already said that she was terrified. So yeah, it's maybe a little bit more traumatic for the little girl and gran. But hopefully we'll get them away as soon as we can.
With warnings in place and the recovery on the way, Darren can inspect the damage.
It's blatantly obvious something catastrophic's happening to the wheel. The tyre is completely come out. I've never seen one where it comes off quite so badly as that. But this sort of detachment, if you like, of the tyre from the wheel, it's more common on heavy goods vehicles where they've done loads and loads and loads of miles and they go up and down the length of the country all day, every day. So to see one come off as bad as that, it's quite startling, quite worrying. It's not very good when the vehicle that you're in, one of the wheels, or certainly one of the tyres, overtakes you as you're driving along. And that's what we have here. We have the lady's tyre. It's strange for it to come off the way it has. It's a relatively good condition. There's plenty of tread wear on it. Pretty little tear in there, so I don't know, and a chunk. So I don't know if she's maybe hit something further up the road. So you would never get tired in this job.
Thankfully, after just half an hour, recovery arrives.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Not bad. How's yourself?
Very well. Do you know there's a gran and a little toddler in the car as well? All right, bye.
meaning Eileen and her granddaughter can be taken to safety.
It's been a good few years since I've babysat. Mine are just about to fly the nest. What's your name? Rosie. That's a nice name. Right then, Rosie. Is he all getting heavier? Oh, you're getting heavier. Oh.
For this A1 cop, today is not about high-speed chases and catching criminals.
Oh, so relieved. Thanks so much for your help. You dried me tears. I was influenced when you came.
Right, I've shut this door, keep the heat in. What's his name? Ta-da. Happy tears.
But it's an important part of Darren's patrol to protect everyone on the A1.
It must be really, really scary and daunting for kids when they're at the side of the road like that. I hate it, and I do it for a living. I hate being at the side of the road. So if we can keep the kids nice and calm and relaxed and as happy as we can be, it makes our job and the recovery jobs a lot easier. And yeah, Gran's more than happy with what we've done. We're happy that Gran's safe and Kitty's safe. So yeah, a nice all-round safe job.
Later, a stranded pregnant driver.
Not a nice place to break down with vehicles flying past there, which is horrendous. It's one of my real worries when I work on the A1.
Is rescued by a hero in high vis.
I hate doing that. It terrifies us that people are they're watching the lights and they're not watching me directing the traffic.
And the aftermath of the shocking smash.
That's the one that's caused the incident.
Causes chaos on the A1.
The tailback for this is stretched probably halfway back to Doncaster by now.
Just off the A1 at a remote farm in County Durham, a specialist team are preparing to send a fleet of vans on the Great North Road for their most explosive weekend of the year.
22 vehicles on the A1, heading up to Northumberland and Scotland and some down into Yorkshire and on the east coast and the west coast.
Brothers Adam, Scott and Dad Alan will be igniting tons of fireworks to celebrate Bonfire Night.
We're very, very busy. And you have to calculate everything down to the last resource. Firing boxes, people, ADR drivers, vehicles, the whole lot. Massive operation, which takes months of planning to get where we are today.
The family business is one of the UK's leading pyrotechnic display companies, who have staged thousands of shows from Teesside to Taiwan, and their events certainly pull in the crowds.
I would say probably we could, over the next couple of days, entertain 500,000 people at the various shows, you know, so it's exciting, this bit.
Every display is designed and created digitally to music. Adam is putting the finishing touches to their biggest show at Bedale.
The fireworks will build to finally create the sky, which is just absolutely full, and ends with a large bang.
Such explosive power requires careful handling. The fireworks are stored at a very safe distance.
We can actually store 2 ton of what they call net explosive weight, which is the actual amount of gunpowder. And that usually is around about 8 ton of fireworks. And that's why you do need these safety distances. So it's this section here that are for Bedale right up to here. There's about 1 ton of fireworks here.
They can't take any risks when transporting the fireworks, and strict safety procedures need to be followed.
All of these boxes are a tri-wall box. They're specially made for carrying fireworks and explosives. And they've all got to carry a hazard warning to the marking.
Adam's aware that a loose load could have devastating consequences.
Company based down south did have an accident due to friction, which caused a big explosion on an industrial site. And since then, the laws have been changed to make the carrying explosives safer.
With the fireworks securely on board, it's time to get the show on the road.
Charlie, are you ready to rumble?
It's an 8 a.m. start for the 22 vans heading up and down the A1.
We use the A1 on a weekly basis, so it is crucial that it's open because we have got time frames to arrive and set up the display.
From County Durham, Adam is joining the A1 and heading south into North Yorkshire to the small market town of Bedale.
We've done displays here for years and years. The council used to fire the fireworks themselves. And then as it progressed, we ended up just supplying equipment and a couple of guys to help them as the display got bigger over the years, until it got so big that really it was our team that had to come and produce the show and set it up and fire it.
But as Adam rockets down the A1, he notices something which may take the sparkle out of the evening.
The rain just slows us up. It's so important that we do keep everything dry and get the display in the air.
But the weather isn't the only thing Adam has to keep his eye on. Transporting almost a ton of fireworks can be highly dangerous.
If there was another vehicle on the road that was on fire, then you would see that in advance and just, you wouldn't go past it, you would just pull in so that the vehicles were nowhere near each other. You just can't take that type of risk.
He also needs to make regular stops to check his explosive cargo.
So we've been on the road 20 minutes, so we'll have to stop and check the load just to make sure nothing's moved and everything's still stable, and just to make sure that the vehicle's sound and that there's no heat in any of the tyres. If you did stop and it was glowing red, it can quickly get out of hand. So you just want to be, you're better safe than sorry in these situations with the load that you have on.
"30 miles away in the northeast, A1 Patrol Officer PC Darren Lant is heading to a high priority call.
We've got a grade 1 to the Bosing Klein vehicle moving down northbound.
Yeah, no problem. I've just turned around the courthouse, but I'll spin back round. No problem. What sort of vehicle have I got?
You know, for a red Corsa, female is out of the vehicle.
The driver's pregnant, so a simple breakdown has now been given the highest response rating. Darren needs to get there fast.
Just around this carriageway there, you can see her now. Red car.
The driver is stranded on the opposite side of the road. But with lots of cars in the way,
Go on, away you going.
advanced pursuit driver Darren needs to keep his wits about him.
No, stay where you are. Thank you very much. People don't appreciate how close and how fast people go past. It really is not a nice place to break down, with vehicles flying past there, which is horrendous. It's one of my real worries when I work on the A1.
Within minutes, Darren's on the scene.
Hello, what's happened? Okay, all right, chum. What's happened with it? Any idea?
There was just a loud bang and loads of smoke come out.
Right.
With no hard shoulder on this part of the A1, luckily for Lisa, the car's limped into this emergency lay-by.
I mean, it's great that you've managed to get here, but if I'd been on a live lane, it's absolutely horrendous.
But even here, with traffic thundering past at 70 miles per hour, Darren doesn't want her to hang about. Thankfully, recovery is on scene, and in record time.
7 years of working on the A1 and within the traffic department, that's probably the quickest response I've ever had from any breakdown service. That means Lisa's not here in this emergency lay-by any longer than absolutely necessary.
The car can't be fixed in this dangerous location.
What do you want to do? Do you want to push it back a bit?
I am going to I'll shove it up to your car, and then I'll pull in front of it.
Yeah,
put it on my trailer.
so they need to get her towed away as fast as possible.
This is how the traffic cops keep fit.
To allow the mechanic to pull in front of Lisa's car, Darren steps out into the oncoming traffic to direct drivers out of the inside lane.
I hate doing that. It terrifies us that people are they're watching the lights and they're not watching me directing the traffic. They don't appreciate how fast and close cars are going by. All it takes is somebody to be on their phone, or looking at their diary or whatever they're planning for the day, and just haven't seen that and just clatter straight into you.
Lisa's time in the emergency lay-by is coming to an end.
It's a really good response from the emergency services, who definitely don't get enough credit really for what they do. I'm pregnant, so being stuck by a slip road and having to get out of the car was quite scary. Yeah, because the cars are just flying at me. And obviously it's not just me now, so I was a bit scary, yeah. So it's great that the people came and helped quite quickly.
Happy days, they'll be happy. And once he's ready to go, that's it. We'll be back on the road and see what else we can find.
Thanks for coming out so quickly.
No, that's okay.
Right, see you later.
Okay, right, excellent, very much. What are you doing? Ta-ra.
Lisa and her car are safely en route to the garage. And for Darren, it's back to the day job.
It's scary at any time to break down anywhere, but let alone the A1. A lone pregnant female must be even worse for her. And it's good that we can stop and help. You know, it's not all about chasing robbers and baddies and bad guys and giving tickets and for seat belts and stuff like that. It's about public reassurance.
100 miles south in West Yorkshire. Traffic officer Rob Larkin is also working hard to keep people safe. With 7 smashed vehicles blocking 3 lanes of the A1, Rob has a complicated clear-up to organise.
The tailback for this is stretched probably halfway back to Doncaster by now, I would have thought, due to the time of day. It was 20 to 6 now. The sooner we get it cleared up, obviously, the better.
The abandoned Alfa Romeo is the only clue as to why this dramatic pileup happened.
That's the one that's caused the incident. So police are going to take that vehicle.
Only one of the cars is deemed fit to drive away from the scene. The remaining 6 will need specialist recovery teams. Rob and Phil's plan is to call them up in stages, so there's enough room for everyone to work safely. But they've all turned up at once.
The plan was for them to hold at Ferry Bridge services, but they've taken it on themselves, obviously, to come all 4 to scene. Because there's that many of them in front of the scene, they're actually technically out in a live lane.
While Phil extends the cordon to protect the trucks, the recovery lads waste no time shifting the wrecked cars. The Audi is easily craned off the carriageway. But the remaining ones have to be pushed and dragged away.
With the amount of damage that these vehicles have sustained, obviously they'll have bent axles and locked wheels and all sorts. They are taking a bit of force to get them onto the back of these trucks.
This high-impact crash has certainly left its mark on the A1.
The most glamorous part of being a traffic officer, sweeping the streets.
With the fleet of recovery trucks fully loaded, the crash victims can finally leave the dangerous road behind.
Happy to be in the warmth finally, and yeah, going home.
And for the Highways England team, all that's left to do is remove the fragments of glass and metal from the carriageway. But it'll take much longer to clear up the cause of this bizarre crash.
I've been speaking to the police, and apparently the people who did a runner from the Red Alpha, they've not found them. So they're taking that car away and they're going to do a forensic investigation on it to try and find out who it belongs to and who was in it. But at present, they're still on the run.
Finally, after 2 hours, the A1 can reopen. And for Rob, even though he's seen hundreds of crashes during his career, this one will stick in his memory.
The idea of getting out of your car and pushing it while you're in a 5-lane stretch of motorway, I mean, it just, you know, it makes you wonder, what are these people thinking? I mean, dodging cars at 70 miles an hour, what were they thinking, pushing a car?
"60 miles north on the A1. Pyrotechnic expert Adam Hillary is transporting almost a ton of fireworks to a display in Bedale. He's about to carry out a compulsory stop and check on his hazardous load.
The biggest concern would be a fire, which would be the most likely cause of that would be a tyre fire. If it got out of control, then there has to be a cordon of about 400 metres.
Off the A1 in a quiet car park, Adam needs to make sure there are no potential fire risks.
So I'll just check the tyre. There's no heat in the rubber and there's certainly no heat in the wheel trim, so they seem fine. So I'm just going to check that there's nothing moved in the load and that everything's still stable.
If the boxes have moved, it can cause friction and heat, which could ignite the fireworks.
Absolutely, as we packed it. All seems well.
It's a relief for Adam. He can now safely rejoin the A1. But sometimes things haven't always run so smoothly.
We did have a small issue, but it was after a display when one of the spent fireworks was still smouldering and that caught light. And the driver had to pull in and put that out with the extinguisher.
Fortunately, there were no such dramas on the Great North Road today.
So that's us off the A1, and it's just a 10-minute drive into Bedale.
After a successful 50-mile journey on the A1, Adam has arrived safely, followed shortly by his team. The fireworks display is taking place in the picturesque grounds of Bedale Hall.
This area here is where we'll fire some of the more powerful stuff. This is where the aerial shells go. And then just in front of the trees here, it's the more lower level stuff which don't need as great a safety distance.
Setting up the display is a mammoth task.
So we'll put the 150s over in that area.
So the team launch into action.
This is a 20-minute firework display. There's 5 crew working throughout the day to put it together.
The show is all computer controlled, using a vast network of cables. And an electrical current sent down them ignites the fireworks.
I'm gonna pee on it, aren't you?
As long as everything stays dry.
So this is our firing box, so we'll plug in the cable.
After 6 hours of rigging, Adam needs to make one final check to ensure there are no crossed wires.
So it's putting a small current through the loop of the firing system. If it is a complete link, it'll come back with a green light.
Green's good. Green's good.
But there's a problem with one of the connections, and Adam needs to locate it.
5111's over here.
Easier said than done.
So I think it was
111's not even in.
Right, so it's these Corollas here. So we'll follow the wire back, and just to say exactly what the problem is.
Okay, hold on, I've got it.
Fortunately, the wiring error has been traced.
The fireworks with the red igniter were one firing, and the ones with the yellow were on another, and they've just accidentally all been wired in together as one firing.
My first mistake ever.
With the setup complete, it's nearly showtime. And the crowds are expecting to be blown away.
Apparently it's the best firework display in North Yorkshire. The music's always really good. They always have a good soundtrack.
They do a superb display every year. The standards are very, very high, and that's why we come.
With pressure building and the audience swelling, it's time for Adam and his team to take centre stage.
This panel's all on, ready to go. We've got the trigger in my hand and we're ready for the countdown.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
It's the moment of truth. Adam and his team light up the sky to the delight of the crowds.
We've had a brilliant time. We like the way it all goes to music as well, don't we?
It was the best bonfire I ever went to.
Stunning. Yeah, quite breathtaking, I thought, actually.
This is going to be a lot better than our firework display tomorrow.
And I think it's gone really well. Everything's fired, and from what I could see, it just went perfectly in time with the music.
For this firework family, it's been another successful night. And now they'll be heading back up the A1, knowing that their display went off with a bang. The mystery of the A1 abandoned car remains unsolved, and despite extensive inquiries, police were unable to trace the couple who fled the scene. Police Scotland officers didn't find a knife in the driver's car. He was charged with 2 counts of theft, driving without insurance, and threatening and abusive behaviour. And 6 months after her safe delivery off the A1, Lisa welcomed her very own delivery, a baby girl called Florence.